we close the roller. Once we lose the left to right movement to the board, that's the correct pressure. And then we hit reverse, and we'll back it out. Okay, so if I went and had a pressure light, I would turn 3/16 board into 1/8 or even a 16, because the roller is crushing the board, not sitting on top. Now, if I took a hard panel, something with no foam, aluminum, plexiglass, or plastic, I would run at 40%. Because the roller is lifting up, not settling in. Just the weight of the roller, without me pushing downward on it at all, is going to be enough pressure to apply adhesive to a board.
You said 40%?
Yeah, 40 for all hard panels, correct. All right. Now, little thing about pressure here is that I have a hard panel, big piece of plastic. It's 48 inches by 96. It's the biggest panel that you could buy. If I apply a lot of pressure, 90% or even 100% pressure on a hard board, what's that going to make it do? It's going to make it walk left or right. The more pressure that I apply to that board, if the board isn't perfectly flat, the board is going to go to the path of least resistance, which is, if I'm reading a 4/1000ths difference between this side of the board and the other side of the board, which is possible. The more pressure I apply, we can have a 1-inch track on 8 feet. And what that's going to do is going to make all your lamb walk to one side. So what it is that if you're trying to lamb a hard panel, you're going to think it's the machine, but you're really applying so much pressure. Just enough pressure to clear the film up for it to make it bond. Any more pressure than that, you're going to make the board walk. Foam, no problem, because the foam is conforming to the machine, and the roller is sitting on top with the hard panels, right? Everybody understand that? Mm-hmm. I need to get the release liner up here when I run laminate. I have 2 ways to do that. Right now, I took a hunk out of my adhesive over there, so I got to cut that off, right, to get it down. So what I'm going to do here is this. I'm going to flip this over this way. And that way there, when I need to put my adhesive up here, my release liner, I'm going to stick it right to that. The second one is this. I'm going to take and do a thumbprint. This is good for your printers. That if you want to wind the prints up and you need the core, but you don't want to unroll the prints, so you use your 1-inch masking tape, right? You go just like this. Do a thumbprint. One thumbprint here, and then you spin the roll backwards, and then you cut it off. So you have double-sided, but it's not really attached to the core. And the reason for that is this, is that if I want to get the core out without hitting the prints, I would hit the core onto the floor. It would break the tape off. And I'd be able to pull the core out without unrolling the whole roll of prints. Okay? Real easy. Alright, now. Good with that now? Alright, we're going to take this off because I don't need this right now, and it's going to be in the way for showing you. Put this right down here right now. Alright, now. We have the correct pressure for our 3/16 board, right? Real easy here. We're going to take and pull our adhesive off. We already set the brake. We're going to pull it right down to the table. Right? Now, I got 2 ways to do this. I could use my leader to feed this in, right? Well, keep in mind that the table is a hinge. So we're just going to lift this and tuck the adhesive underneath it and push it back in. So almost all ready to go just the way it is. And then we're going to take our leader and push that in. And as I push it in, I hit the drive. Now what's gonna happen is it's not gonna feed in anything. All right, we'll shut it off.
That little thing
Yeah,
inside.
exactly. So how do we get that to go?
With the-
Snail mode foot pedal.
Okay.
And then what'll happen is once my eye comes back on, I'll be able to go into automatic. Now what's gonna be nice about this right now, it's gonna stop automatically and it's gonna keep running and it's gonna wait for my next panel. See it stop? Machine is running.
Mhm.
Why is it running? It only goes in if there's pressure. So that's sitting there waiting for my next board. So what we're gonna do is just take our panel that we wanna coat, and I'm actually gonna do the other side here. We're just gonna feed this in underneath the eye. It's gonna grab and pull itself in. It's gonna run this whole panel out until the next, it's already got adhesive on the other side, that's why it's going in upside down, if that's what you're looking at. Alright, so coming out the back, I have a table on here, which is a piece of stainless steel polished, it's got a release liner coating on it. We get to peel that off. But coming out the back is real easy. We're just gonna take our knife, and I'm gonna run this knife right in along the edge of that board, right? And then this, we're gonna fold over so I can keep using this panel every time now, because I have release on it, it's gonna peel off, right?
And the reason this side doesn't stick is just because there's not pressure.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Exactly right, yes. And now what's gonna happen now?
It's gonna stop.
It's gonna stop, why? Because there's no pressure. Once we lose pressure, it stops. So, actually, we could take a box of 30 boards, we're gonna coat them all, one by one, coming out, we're gonna trim them out, and we're gonna put them back in the box.
Okay.
And that way there you have boards anytime you want.
And that's a lot more cost effective.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Extremely.
Okay, so this is gonna stop, it's gonna wait for me now. What if I was only doing one panel? Oh, it just stopped. Excuse me. Now watch, now. What if I'm only doing one panel? Stop the machine. If I'm doing more, I just feed them in until I'm done, right? If I'm doing, and I wanna stop right now, I just hit the stop button. I'm just gonna back this out a minute until I get a loop. And once I get that loop, I'll come through here with my zippy and I'll line this back up. Okay, because what we're doing is trying to work smart. We're trying to use all the adhesive that we possibly can. And then we'll hit our button again, and that'll come out. Now, could you see the reason why we need a trim table and a prep table? A
Yeah.
prep, yeah, right? Because I would set all my boards there, and this would come out and get trimmed. Right now, we pretty much got to go around. All right, so I'm going to hit my stop button, which is here. Yep, good. Now, trimming is another thing here. I'm going to come over here a minute, and I'm going to open this back up just so I could use this as a table. When we trim, these boards, we cannot split the boards, so we have to trim a couple ways. We trim from the bottom, and we trim from the top. I usually trim going clockwise, which is this one here. All right, we're going to let the blade follow this around, and then we save this. What do we do with this?
Use it for
We use it for the makeup roll.
Yeah,